Far north in the woods of Alaska, a man was hiking a forest one day. As he followed a path, he was suddenly startled by a huge wolf only 20 feet away. He was frightened and quickly grabbed his gun in case he needed to defend his life. But when he aimed the gun, he realized the wolf did not show any signs of aggression. The wolf didn't seem to attack him, nor did the wolf run away. It was just sitting there looking at him in despair. What he didn't know at that moment was that this was the beginning of an incredible story of the friendship between a wild animal and a civilized man. Little did the man know that the decision he was about to make would save his very own life only 4 years later. But before we start our story, smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. The man kept his gun pointed at the wolf, but instead of backing off, he decided to slowly move forward and inspect the situation. Although the wolf snarled aggressively at him, he noticed the wolf's paw was caught in a trap and therefore couldn't move. The man hesitated for a moment what to do, but then noticed the wolf had swollen nipples. This was clearly a sign that there must be hungry pups around. The man decided there was only one right thing he could do in a situation like this. The wolf kept snarling at him, and he decided the best he could do was to go look for the pups. The only way to find the young pups is to try to imitate the sounds of the mother wolf, and hopefully lure the pups out of their den. After mimicking the sounds for a few minutes, he heard wiggling movements coming towards him. Still scared of what could come, the man kept his gun pointed at where the sounds came from. The sounds came from close, and as he carefully approached, he found the location of the den. Again, the man tried his best impression of creating howls, simulating their mother, and hopefully attract the pups out of the den. Nothing happened at first, but he kept on trying, and to his surprise soon, the pups came out one by one. A total of 4 pups started wobbling slowly towards him, answering his howls. Unfortunately, what the man saw was not a happy sight. He realized the 4 small pups were in great danger. He decided to put the little pups in cotton bags, 2 litter mates in 1 bag each, and carefully carried them to their mother. But this time when he came closer, the mother wolf didn't snarl anymore. This time she looked at him quietly. She was smelling her pups. When he was only a few steps away, he opened the bags and the pups wiggled happily to their mother. She started licking them clean, but the man knew this was only the start. To save the den, he needed to save the mother as well. He understood in order to save her, he himself risked a life-threatening situation. The man realized the mother needed to eat as well, and feeding her might also transform her aggression into trusting him. He left the mother and the pups behind and started searching the area, and soon found a dead deer. He took his knife and cut off a good quarter, and returned to the she-wolf to feed her and hoping to gain her trust. He fetched her the meat from a safe distance, and she started eating the venison, but he would soon found out it would take a lot more than a meal to gain the trust of a wild animal. Throughout the day he kept feeding her bits of venison, but was still afraid of getting too close. He sat next to her when she was eating, and he kept talking to her in a calm and soothing manner. He realized it would take more than 1 day to earn this wolf's trust, so he set up his sight and slept over for the night. However, what the man didn't expect was that in the morning he was awakened by a typical wolf's surprise. In the morning, the man was awoken by the little pups. They were playfully licking and sniffing his face, and he had never experienced a better awakening in his life. The she-wolf watched this with excitement. He realized this was a big step, and hopefully this would gain the trust of the dangerous mother predator. He decided to sit with her for another few hours, often feeding her more venison while talking to her in a calm manner. But then the mother did something that blew his mind, and he had never expected from a wild wolf. As the man kept talking, she allowed him to get a little bit closer over time. She seemed to appreciate his efforts and how he behaved around her pups. Then, when he fed her again, he noticed she was waggling her tail, something a wild animal wouldn't normally do in a situation like this. It was now or never, and he needed to grab this opportunity right away. He knew it was what was needed to be done to save the whole wolf family, even though he risked his own life. The man slowly took a blanket, wrapped it around his hand while trying to avoid excessive movements, which might accidentally startle the mother wolf. He was now sitting directly next to her, and was close enough for her to grab him by the throat and kill him within seconds. He tried to stay as calm as possible and kept talking to her in his friendly manner. Luckily, she also remained calm. He slowly continued the plan that could cost him his life. Would the wolf fall back into her instincts if he would try to set her free? It was time to do what was needed to be done, the most dangerous part of the rescue. He recognized the kind of trap the wolf was stuck in, and he slowly dismantled the trap, keeping his arm covered with the blanket in front of his face and neck. He hoped it might give him a bit of protection if the mother would fall back into her instincts and would try to grab him by the throat. While he slowly opened the trap and closed his eyes ready to be attacked, he would have never guessed what was about to happen next. The mother snarled at him when freed, but the man was surprised the wolf did not attack him, nor did she run away. There were no signs of aggression, and she blinked to show trust. He realized the wolf meant well but was still tense, as wolves can violently react when they are in pain. At any moment she could grab him by the throat and his life would end. But instead, the wolf mother made a different decision for herself and her pups, something he still can't believe actually happened. With his eyes closed out of fear, the man waited, but only heard the wolves moving. Soon he slowly opened one eye and realized the she-wolf and her pups were waiting for him from a few feet away. He was even more surprised when the she-wolf and her pups slowly walked back towards him, as if they were trying to tell him something. He thought this was the end of an incredible meeting, but little did he know this was actually the beginning of the new friendship. As the man stood watching the injured she-wolf, she began howling, her gaze fixed on him. He realized she was asking him to follow her and her pups. Curious, he kept a safe distance as he followed them deeper into the forest. After some time, they reached a breathtaking plain with a beautiful lake, but his awe turned to caution when he spotted a pack of wolves nearby, at least 8 adults and several pups. The wolves greeted the she-wolf with a chorus of howls, filling the air with a sound that was both haunting and heartwarming. Despite his initial fear, the man felt strangely at ease. The wolves seemed unbothered by his presence, and he almost felt like part of the pack. As night fell, he pitched his tent and lit a small fire, hoping to wake up in the morning to the pups' playful licks and cuddles. At sunrise, the man knew it was time to leave. As he packed his belongings, the she-wolf and her pups watched him intently, their eyes silently bidding him farewell. With a heavy heart, he left the forest, thinking it was the last he would see of them. 4 years later, the man couldn't shake the memories of the she-wolf and her pups. He decided to return to the forest, hoping to see them again. The familiar path brought back sweet memories, but when he arrived at the plain, something unexpected awaited him. Instead of wolves, a massive bear stood by the lake. The man tried to back away, but the bear caught his scent and charged. Panicked, the man climbed a tree, thinking he had found safety, but the bear began climbing after him. As the bear got closer, the man accidentally dropped his gun, leaving him defenseless. Desperate, he made a split-second decision that would save his life. He cupped his hands around his mouth and howled like a wolf, a loud, desperate call. The bear seemed unimpressed and continued its ascent. But suddenly, snarls erupted from the bushes. 4 wolves emerged, baring their teeth and growling. The bear hesitated, then retreated under the wolves' fierce attack. Terrified, the man remained in the tree, unsure of what the wolves would do next. To his relief, 3 wolves left and only 1 remained. The lone wolf stared at him for a long moment. It was the same she-wolf he had saved years ago. The she-wolf let out a loud farewell howl before disappearing into the forest. Slowly, the man climbed down, his heart pounding but grateful for the second chance at life. The man's bond with the she-wolf, forged years earlier, had saved his life. Their mutual understanding and trust defied the boundaries between humans and wildlife. This extraordinary story reminds us of the beauty and complexity of nature, and the lessons it holds for those willing to connect with it.